Welcome to the In My Defense podcast, where we chop it up about sports, culture, and life the way it was meant to be discussed. It's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty, and I promise you, bold takes, thoughtful analysis, and real talk. Nothing's personal, but in my defense. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I got to bring in my frat brother, Quentin Wright McDuffie, marketing extraordinaire. Yo, Q, what up?
What's good, Brody? What's good? How you?
I'm good, man. A lot going on in the sports world, per usual. Feels like there's always a ton happening this time of year, man. But in this show in particular, we got a ton to get into.
Before we get into that, you had a big weekend. How was the baby shower?
Man, the baby shower was dope. It was great to have that many people in the room celebrating the greatest thing that my wife, Mel, and I will ever do. It's similar to the wedding vibes, but the hope and the optimism is tenfold because you're bringing a life into the world. God is blessing you to watch over one of his children. So it was dope, man. It was dope. I'll say this, with how much that shit costs, I can promise you that the baby shower for number 2 ain't gonna be like the baby shower for number 1. Number 2 gonna get a cookout.
Get a barbecue, get a school pizza party.
Number 2 gonna get a kickback. Number 2 gonna get a get together. He not gonna get the blowout baby shower that we had. It was more like a baby party because it was so elevated. It was business casual. Everybody was looking fly. Everybody came through and support. It was just a really good groove, man. I'm grateful that all of my people showed up. The village showed up, and everybody pledged to support us and be the tribe that surrounds our child with love. So it was really, really cool.
Of course. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I was out of town for my birthday, but I sent my love, and I got some stuff coming away for baby Canty. And you were looking sharp out there, man. You got the turtleneck with the suit on. That's what it's all about sometimes, the turtleneck with the suit combo. Now, your fit delivered. We waiting for Mel to deliver. Now, we know a team that's not delivering. It's very often we get to talk about a game in the midst of it happening. We're recording on a Friday for a Saturday release. Them Bills, man, that game last night, Thursday night football, the Texans versus Bills, the top 5 offense in the NFL versus the number 1 defense in NFL. You've mentioned this before, Canty. The Bills has the biggest variance week over week. For you, are you optimistic? Or are you concerned about them Buffalo Bills?
I would say this. I'm more concerned about the Buffalo Bills. They don't have any wide receivers that can consistently beat man coverage, and you saw the Texans defensive backs challenge those dudes. The offensive line gave up a lot of pressures in one-on-one pass pro situations. Spencer Brown, their right tackle, he was the fish last night. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, Derek Barnett, those dudes took turns hunting him and then hunting sacks. And so I think that if you're Buffalo, you've got to find a way to stay more consistent with the run game. James Cook providing some balance to the offense, not just relying on Josh Allen to drop back and throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. You can't ask Allen to put the cape on every single game, because if you do, you're going to get those turnover-worthy plays in droves, and you saw that once again last night.
I think he had about 8 sacks in that loss, the most since, I think they said, since the Miami Dolphins game in the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, he's had a terrible up and down season, no consistency, and every time I watch it, all I do is say, "Is this your king? Is this your king?" I'm a Lamar dude. So is this your king? And listen, we're not going to wrap you guys up. We're going to have a tight show. So as we talk about the king, we're going to just segue straight into the hardwood and talk about LeBron James. LeBron James made his season debut with the Los Angeles Lakers in a win versus the Jazz, 104-126. It's actually a historic debut that he made with the Lakers. 23 seasons, passing Vince Sanity, his 22. At 40 years old, he came to the game with the 14-game layoff from some sciatica. I have a little bit of that when Shakai tells me to sleep on the couch, but we'll digress to that. He returned with 11 points, 12 assists, 3 rebounds, and helped the Los Angeles Lakers in a win. Canty, for me, what do you think Bron is showing the world and the Lakers are showing the world that 100% with a 100% team, everybody healthy, they can do?
Well, listen, I think the most important thing for the Lakers with LeBron James being back in the lineup is that those young players get proximity to greatness. And while I
Mhm.
don't think the Lakers are good enough to keep up with the big three in the Western Conference, that being OKC, Houston, and Denver, I do think that they can lay the foundation for a team that can contend for a championship into future years, a team that's core is centered around the two-star players in Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. So I think that's going to be the key for the Lakers, being able to establish that identity this season in what I believe will be the last year for LeBron James with the Los Angeles Lakers, being able to learn from LeBron, being able to find a style of play that will allow them to have success in the Western Conference against the upper echelon teams.
So what's the ceiling and what's the basement?
Oh, I think the ceiling is certainly a team that can get to a conference finals, but I think that's about as far as it goes. I just don't see the Lakers having enough frontline size to contend with what Oklahoma City can throw at them. I just don't think they have the depth or the firepower. But they do have a lot of young pieces that are really, really exciting, man. Austin Reeves is a bucket, averaging over 28 points a game. You're being able to resurrect DeAndre Ayton's career. This guy's got a fire under him that I haven't seen in years.
Hmm.
You see what they've got in Jake LaRavia. You see what Rui Hachimura is bringing to the table. So I think there's a lot to like about the LA Lakers. LeBron James found a way to fit in to get those young guys going early in that game against the Jazz on Tuesday night in his return. And I think if you can continue to get that version of LeBron, a guy that can give you 12 dimes to only one turnover, a guy that can feed the young players and get them to build up their confidence, I think it's only going to benefit the Lakers. It's only going to help those young guys evolve. Again, I don't think from a timing standpoint it's going to work out for LeBron this year in terms of those guys progressing enough to allow him to compete for a championship. But I think the learnings that they can get from this year will benefit the Lakers over the course of the next decade.
Listen, for me, the basement was the Western Conference semis, and the ceiling would be a championship. I think Luca is in a good position in his career to be ready to go. Came in healthy, came in fit, ready to play. LeBron, like you said, fitting in and not fitting out. He said that one time to Kevin Love. He fit right in
Yeah,
perfectly.
he
He
did.
didn't he
Yeah,
didn't
he
try to
did.
do too much. 11 points. He could have tried to go for 20, but he had so many assists throughout the game, 12 to be exact. I think he showed that his brain for the game can help them maybe win a championship. But for you, I want to ask you as a Laker fan. Let's skip all the analysts. As a Laker fan, what do you want the ceiling to be?
Well,
Like,
I mean,
what do
listen,
you really want it to
the
be?
goal is a championship. I don't think any team with LeBron James on it shouldn't have a championship as the goal. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like for LeBron James, it's year 23. If you're not out to get a title, what the fuck are you doing it for? Like it just doesn't make sense. So
He want to
their
play with
I
Bryce.
think their ambitions are to win a championship. You know, you've got Luka Doncic, you've got LeBron James. Those are two top 10 players in the world. Based on last year, being first and second team All NBA type performance. It doesn't make sense to me it for the Lakers not to try to win a chip. I'm being realistic about the prospects of that, seeing what they've built in Oklahoma City and knowing that that team is going to be around for a really long time. I mean, they've got three really good building blocks when you consider SGA, the reigning MVP, J Dub, and then, of course, Chet Holmgren. But not to mention, they've got the deepest team in the Western Conference. And then, oh, by the way, they have a ton of draft capital. They have right now what is three first round draft picks that are in the top 15 in the NBA draft next year, which is supposed to be a loaded class. So Sam Presti has found a way to build the bully, and Mark Dagnall is not getting in the way of the team's overall success, and those young guys continue to improve. So that's the team that you're going to have to get through, and I just don't think the Lakers have enough to be able to get that done this year.
Listen, you already talked about Sam Presti. He's going to do what he needs to do to work them picks. 15-1 are the Thunder. The Lakers are number 3 in the West. We can see what comes from it. Before we segue to the field, I want to ask you, just hearing the news of the two Bus brothers being let go yesterday, seeing a little shift. We've already seen the shift in ownership, it being sold for to Billy. well, 10 Billy, excuse me. 10
Yeah,
Billy.
10.
T-
10 of them
10
things.
Billy sounds better
10
than
of them
2.
things.
10 Billy, and now only Jeannie still being there as the governor of the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah,
Do
that ain't
you
going to be long,
see
though.
yeah, but do you see now the Lakers going into that next phase of what the dynasty needs to look like, and can they build a dynasty in the next coming years?
Well, I think it's a natural inflection point. LeBron James will probably be finishing up his tenure as a Laker this year, and with the sale of the team to Mark Walter in his group, I do believe that there will be a turning of the page. And for me, I have mixed feelings about it because I recognize what the Buss family means to the Lakers organization. I recognize what they mean to the NBA as a whole. But one of the things that we've learned about these acquisitions is that it's never a smooth succession plan. Look
Mhm.
at what happened with the Boston Celtics when Wick Grusbeck sold his team. It's never as smooth as everybody would like it to be. And so I could imagine that it'll be more awkward, it'll be more clunky, but ultimately it's something that's necessary because it'll allow the Lakers to contend with some of the other prominent sports businesses that the Walter Group owns. Look at what they've been able to do with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the amount of resources that they pour into that team, the creative thinking around structuring contracts, the investment that they've made in infrastructure of the team, scouting department, team facilities, so on and so forth. I think it's important in today's sports world to be able to compete in every facet of it, not just talent acquisition, but then also putting the infrastructure in place to get the most out of your people. And that's not just resigned to the people that are performing on the court. That's everybody from the coaches to the scouts to the business executives that run the operation, so on and so forth. So I'm excited about what's next for the Los Angeles Lakers. But there is a part of me that's sad for nostalgia's sake because of what the Buss family did to revolutionize the franchise, what they did to revolutionize the league.
Yes. Yes, bringing forward the Lakers girls. That's why we get to see a lot of cheerleaders at
There
the
you
game.
go.
Mr. Buss, rest in peace, but you're the best. You're the best. Now let's bring it to the field. We got another member of the Hawk Tui crew.
Oh, boy.
We got another member of the Hawk Tui crew. Jamar Chase, top wide receiver in the NFL. His suspension was upheld, and it is now official. He will miss the game this week. And if you guys haven't seen the video, we'll make sure we play it. Versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, he spat at Jalen Ramsey. Now, I'm pretty sure Jalen Ramsey said something crazy to him, but it ain't warranted a good Hawk Tui. But we'll talk about that a little bit more because there's a lot of disrespect going on around the NFL. He was fined $500,000. I think that's a pebble in the ocean for him. I don't even think that's like a real good amount of what he gets paid per year. But we've seen Jalen Carter and how he was punished, or was he punished? How he was punished. NFL, what should they do? Should they make the repercussion worse? Or is this something that we're just seeing going to disappear from players not disrespecting each other like that?
Nah, there needs to be stiffer consequences. I mean, think about it this way. We saw what happened with Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey. And then at the start of the regular season, a couple of months ago, we saw what Jalen Carter did to Dak Prescott. I mean, prior
Mm-hmm.
to those two incidents, the last time we even recall somebody spitting on another player was what Bill Romanowski did to J.J. Stokes on Monday Night
On Monday
Football.
Night Football.
And that was back in 1997. So
Yep.
I do think that this is something that the NFL has to get ahead of because when you consider the escalation that could naturally happen by degrading someone to the point where you're spitting on them, I just think that the NFL has to be careful because the reaction that it evokes is going to be a lot more spectacular than if players get in any other form of altercation on the field. If guys throw punches, if guys grab each other by the face mask, that happens all the time. But when you see someone spit on another player, the natural reaction is to get at them, football be damned. And it might not be confined to what happens in that moment on the field. It could spill over into the tunnel, into the
Mm-hmm.
locker rooms, and God forbid, outside of the stadium in the streets. And it ain't like we ain't seen Bengals players and Steelers players go after each other in the streets. Remember
Yep.
Levi Jones and Joey Porter once upon a time. So I'm just going to say that the NFL has to be really careful with this from that angle of it, because you don't want an escalation in violence, whether it's on the field or off the field. Here's the other part where I think the NFL has to be careful. They have to make these consequences a little more heavy-handed, because the last thing you want to do is incentivize another player to provoke a guy on the opposing team to take a swing at him and get ejected. See, that's the part that people missed when it comes to this Jamar Chase incident. Jalen Ramsey got kicked out of a game that was a one-possession game in the fourth quarter between division rivals. Well, what happens if there's a player that is away from the play, that's away from the refs, and thinks that he can provoke a response from one of those other players by spitting on him? I mean, you heard what Jalen Ramsey's reaction was. The dude spit on me. It's up from there. You heard what Mike Tomlin had to say about it. I have no message for somebody that spits on another human being. Do what comes natural. The players and the coaches ain't going to conduct themselves with the level of decorum that the league expects when you spit on somebody. They're going to go after them. So I think that's why the league needs to find a way to get ahead of this thing. And I know that they feel like their hands are tied now because of the precedent that they established with Jalen Carter, but this is something that they certainly have to revisit in the offseason, and they need to try to put more guidelines in place and have stiffer penalties for guys that violate it to this degree.
Yeah, and you guys need to check Wikipedia. I know Canty comes over very distinguished, but he's still from the Bronx, y'all. He's still from the Bronx. He's still from the Bronx. Like, for me, I live by the few F's, Canty. I live by, if you don't feed me, you don't finance me, you don't fuck me, I don't care about you.
Wow.
But then I live by another set of F's. You fuck with my family, you fuck with my finances, then it's up. Ooh. Now, spitting, I think that trumps all that. Spitting is the next level of disrespect. And I mean, if we was in the streets, like you said, it was up. And if I wanted to be distinguished, I would say that's an assault charge. So it's ways to go about it. But punishing the players, is it steep enough? Should the teams now get some punishment for actions like this? Because it did get Jalen Ramsey ejected, and now they were up when he was ejected. But what if they were down and they needed that top corner?
Yeah, I don't know how far you can go with trying to hold the teams accountable. I think it's a matter of confining it to the players, because I don't know that you necessarily want to get in the business of doing more to punish the teams or punish the other guys on those respective teams because of the actions of one person. So I think it gets into a slippery slope territory for me. But certainly they could have done more to Jalen Ramsey. And to me, the part that makes it different than the incident between Dak and Jalen Carter was the reaction from the opposing player after he got spit on. Jalen Ramsey clearly felt the way. He went after the player. It triggered an ugly incident that could have been a lot worse, and he ends up getting tossed. So you penalize Jalen Ramsey, you penalize the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in real time, you didn't punish the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think there has to be stiffer penalties. There have to be tougher consequences for guys that violate professional decorum and the personal conduct policy. Now, here's the other thing that I don't get. If you're Jamar Chase, what the fuck are you thinking appealing that ruling? Why do you want to piss off the appeals officer, Jordy Nelson? Why do you want to piss off the league office by doing something where we already know the answer to it? Bro, they got you on tape. They got you on tape.
And 4K.
They got you,
4K.
They got you on tape. Why are you going to sit here and have folks questioning your integrity, questioning the integrity of the league, questioning your word? Why would you want to allow folks to character assassinate you by sitting there and lying and saying you didn't spit on them when everybody knows that you did? And here's the crazy thing. When he was initially asked the question about whether or not he spit on Jalen Ramsey, I knew that he did it before even watching the video. You know how I knew he did it? Because of how this dude answered the question. He didn't say, no, I didn't spit on him. He said, I never opened my mouth to that guy. Who the fuck talks like that, bro? Nobody. You don't talk like that. Nobody talks like that. So
The PR person grabbed him,
I knew
Canty.
this dude was lying. Stop. Why you always
Always lie.
lying? Like, I don't get that. And so, I think when it comes to Jamar Chase, he's done a disservice to himself, especially considering the caliber of player that he is. This is somebody that's a role model, has kids looking up to him. He's your favorite player's favorite player until this week, until what happened against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I believe that Jamar Chase has put a bullseye on his back, not only with opposing players, opposing defenses, but also with the league office because of the decision to reject accountability and to continue to double down on the fact that he believes that he didn't spit on Jalen Ramsey. This is a situation now where Jamar Chase is going to have to make sure he crosses the street at the crosswalks. Because if he doesn't, the league office is going to come after his ass.
Yeah, and him being one of the best players in the league, I mean,
they don't give a damn about that. They don't give a damn about that. The shield is
just looked bad.
The shield is bigger than any one player. Look at the damn logo of the NFL in comparison to other sports leagues. Other sports leagues have players as the logo. The NFL has a damn shield. They don't give a damn about one individual player.
Yeah, it just sucks when the best wide receiver out there is becoming Mr. Hawk Tui. Mr. Hawk Tui. But
he's in good company. Some people say that somebody's in the White House and Mr. Hawk Tui too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, them emails is coming out. Them emails is coming out. Listen, you know who other inbox I want to see? I want to see Stefanski's inbox this week.
Ooh, buddy.
I want to see Stefanski's inbox this week. The Browns are officially starting Shedeur Sanders this Sunday versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Dillon Gabriel is still in concussion protocol. So the 144th pick, who should have probably been a top 5 pick, but we'll talk about that later, who is coming in the game initially as a number 4 QB. Now he's the actual 42nd quarterback to start for the Browns since 1999.
Damn.
And there's a lot of names. I'll throw out some names when we get to that point. But the biggest concern, no first team reps. You heard the offensive line saying the first time I heard his cadence was last week when he got pushed in the third quarter for four throws, 16 attempts. He only connected on 4. He had 47 yards, a pick, and 2 sacks. Canty, for you, is this a coming out party? Or is this one of those moments that he has to take advantage of, or he's going to find himself on the bench when Dillon Gabriel gets out of concussion protocol?
Well, listen, he's got an opportunity. I will say this. I think that the bar to clear is going to be high for Shedeur because the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, is leaning toward Dillon Gabriel being his guy. And he's had that position all along. Remember, they drafted Dillon Gabriel 2 rounds before they took Shedeur. There's a belief in NFL circles that Shedeur is the general manager's guy, while Dillon Gabriel is the head coach's guy. The head coach is the one that decides who's going to play football. So if you're Shedeur Sanders, this might be your best opportunity. And quiet as kept, it might be your only opportunity. So you better show up and show out. You have a week knowing that you're going to be the guy. They're going to tailor the game plan to the things that he does well. I think the keys for Shedeur to have success against the Raiders is that he's going to have to be able to step up away from edge pressure in the pocket. Too many times he decides he's going to retreat out of the back end of the pocket in order to get away from pressure. You just can't do that at this level. You can get away with it in high school and college, not the NFL. So there is that. If he can't step up in the middle of the pocket because it's being pushed on top of you, then you're going to have to find quick outlets to get rid of the football or just throw it away a lot earlier in the down. But Shedeur Sanders is going to have a lot more poise in the noise than what he displayed against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 11.
Let's talk a little bit X's and O's, Canty. What are some things they need to do earlier in the game to get Shedeur going?
I think they need to have Shedeur under center a little bit more. He's a bigger quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. I think he sees the middle of the field a lot better than Dillon Gabriel, as evidenced by the throw that he made on the in cut to Harold Fannin on the last drive that the Browns had in that game against the Ravens. I think you've got to be able to give him a steady run game so you can get play action shots downfield. To me, that's the best opportunity that you have for explosives in the NFL, the play action passing game to displace the second and third levels of the defense. create natural voids. Shedeur is a really accurate passer. He layers throws really, really well. So he can drop it in over the second level defenders, but in front of the third level defenders. You just got to be able to create that separation. And you can only do that in the play action pass when you have a limited receiver group like the Cleveland Browns are bringing to the party. So to me, those are going to be the keys for successes from a philosophical standpoint, from an X's and O's standpoint with Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Rees. They're going to have to get Quinshad Judkins going early, and I believe you get a better chance of that by having Shedeur Sanders under center and having Judkins in the dot position. So I think that's going to have to be their thing. Now, listen, the Raiders are a soft place to land if you're a young quarterback. This has been a team that's given it up from time to time when it comes to opposing offenses. So I think if you're Shedeur Sanders, you couldn't script a better opportunity, a better opponent with the reeling Las Vegas Raiders. One thing I will say is watch out for that damn Max Crosby because he
Yes,
can ruin
sir.
the damn football game for you. But as long as you got a plan for him, and as long as you got a plan for pressure, because they will bring the blitz like Baltimore did with Zach Orr and some of the things that they showed, as long as you've got answers for that, then Shedeur Sanders could be in line to have a big day.
We'll throw out some names and how many times they've started before I ask this last
Oh,
question and we
boy.
go to 99 problems.
Oh, boy.
Tim Couch,
Yeah.
59 starts.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield, 59. Derek Anderson, 35. Colt McCoy, 21. Deshaun Watson, he's still somewhere in the back room somewhere over there in Cleveland, 19. We even have RG3 with only 5. Johnny Manziel, cha-ching, with a total of 8. If Dylan Gabriel is healthy next week, what do the Browns do? Will this continue to be a carousel where he now is added to the list with 2 or 3, 3 or 4, and Shedeur is now getting the reins? I mean, it's going to come out to performance, but is this a carousel, or do you think they're actually going to give Shedeur a shot?
Well, listen, man, I think Shedeur Sanders has to go out there and perform well. If he doesn't play well, if it's gray, if it's up to interpretation, then I think the Cleveland Browns go back to Dylan Gabriel. I think it's just that simple. But if he finds a way to win this game on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are on a short week because they played on Monday Night Football, if he finds a way to play turnover-free football, if he finds a way to lead 3 or 4 scoring drives, then I think it becomes hard to deny that Shedeur Sanders has more upside as a prospect than Dylan Gabriel and deserves more opportunities down the stretch than Dylan Gabriel. So to me, that's the versus. It's which guy can present the best case to play the majority of the games down the stretch. So that guy can in turn give himself an opportunity to be a part of the long-term equation for the Cleveland Browns quarterback room.
Now, I ask you a quick hit question. If Shedeur balls out, do you think Stefanski's still going to start him?
He has to. He has to get to the point where it's undeniable. Because here's the thing, man. Stefanski can have his preference, but if the locker room gets proof of concept that we can win games with Shedeur Sanders and Shedeur can be the reason why we win games, then it's going to be hard for Stefanski to look the other 52 guys in the face and say that we have a better chance with Dylan Gabriel. So I think that's going to be the key. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders going out there and playing. It's going to be the supporting cast, including the defense, backing him up by playing well, by playing together, by working in concert all 3 phases. If that happens and Cleveland finds a way to get a win, then all of a sudden the Browns become a really interesting watch for the rest of the season.
When you got Myles Garrett on one side, and he's having what I believe is a Defensive Player of the Year season.
Another one.
Yeah, another one.
Hey, listen, sidebar. Is Myles Garrett going to break Michael Strahan's sack record?
Oh, you mean without Brett Favre falling for fun?
Listen. We've talked about how Aaron Rodgers' career has mirrored Brett Favre's career. Just going to throw this out there. The Cleveland Browns play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 17, the penultimate regular season game. Does Aaron Rodgers take a dive for Myles Garrett to do exactly what Brett Favre did once upon a time for Michael Strahan?
It's only right. It's only right,
I'm just
though.
putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
He always want to be above Favre, so it only makes sense. And I think he should do it a little bit more with a tuck roll than a slip.
A tuck roll.
A little tuck roll, and then we call it a day. But I think it might be able to happen. And if Shedeur gets the reins, I know they're not going to make no playoffs anytime soon.
No.
But if the season ends with the good quarterback playing, and you see that defense being the way it is, and you got a good middle linebacker that you believe is going to be the defensive rookie of the year, then you have the defensive rookie of the year.
Defensive player of the year.
It's nothing but up.
Defensive player of the year. Rookie of the year, defensive player of the year. Yeah. Not enough people are talking about how Carson Schwarzenegger is balling. That dude is playing out of his mind. So you got building block pieces. Mason Graham is coming around. That defensive line is hunting. They got a little bit of depth there. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett.
Denzel Ward is Denzel Ward.
I like the addition of Tyson Campbell with Denzel Ward. I think they complement each other better. Campbell is more of a man corner than Greg Newsome was. So, I mean, listen, the Cleveland Browns defense, they up. Like, it's just a matter of what the offense is going to be and who the quarterback is going to be. And until that organization gets some stability on that side of the ball, it's going to be more of the same, which is uneven results. Now, the question is whether or not ownership is satisfied with that, whether or not ownership considers significant changes based on the team, the front office, the head coach not being able to figure things out.
Listen, if you guys have been tuning into this show, you always know we got 99 problems, but a take ain't one.
Hey.
Let's go straight into it, Canty. Chiefs 5-5, and Colts coming off a bye week 8-2. The Chiefs need to win this game to stay in that playoff picture. Who do you got Sunday?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has never lost 3 straight regular season games. I just think that when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, this is an opportunity to let everybody know that they're more than capable of beating the upper echelon teams in the AFC right now. They're more than capable of being able to go on a deep playoff run from the wild card position. So I think this is one of those instances where they remind everybody of how great they are. That defense is going to have to step up. They're going to have to be able to create field position, extra possessions for Patrick Mahomes in that offense. That offense has got to be more steady. And I get that they're going to always look for the home runs, the deep shots to those vertical threats in Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, but they've got to find ways to get more base hits. They got to find ways to be able to sustain more drives. They got to find ways to be methodical, to be patient. I think if they can do that, then ultimately they'll find a way to be able to win this game against the Indianapolis Colts. Remember, the Atlanta Falcons made it an overtime game against the Indianapolis Colts in Berlin. Mm-hmm. The Kansas City Chiefs are more than capable of doing the same. They can make it a fourth quarter game, and I'll take my chances with Patrick Mahomes against the Colts, especially at home.
All right. We have a NFC East rivalry game coming up. The Cowboys, after just killing the Raiders and winning me some money, cha-ching, versus the Eagles. The Cowboys, if they win this game, they got a 12% chance of making the playoffs. They lose, they got a 3. Who do you got?
I'm going to roll with the Philadelphia Eagles, but this one is close, man. I got to be honest. I see the 3.5 point spread in the Eagles' favor. And I actually like the Dallas Cowboys plus the 3.5. Dak Prescott is money against NFC East teams in Jerry's world. The last time Dak Prescott lost a home regular season game to a division opponent, you got to go back to 2017. Mm-hmm. So that's a long time ago. Dak Prescott usually plays really, really well against division opponents. I think this is a bad week to have a bad week if you're Philadelphia, given the injuries that you're dealing with on your offensive line. No Cam Jurgens, no Lane Johnson. That Dallas Cowboys defensive line is all of a sudden a source of strength for that team. Quinnen Williams was a man-child. Kenny Clark, Osa Odigizua, Donovan Ezaraku. That defense is on the mend, man. They added DeMarvion Overshown coming back from injury. Malik Hooker is back from injury. So there are a lot of new faces. Logan Wilson, linebacker that they traded for before the deadline. They got a lot of new faces on that defense. This is a completely different unit than we saw in the first 2 months of the season. And I think they're going to have an opportunity to prove it against a Philadelphia Eagles team that feels like they're trying to assert themselves as the class of the conference.
Listen, we also have the number one team in the NFC West, the Rams. The Rams go against the Bucks Sunday night football. I think this is going to be a firework game. Who you got?
Oh, I'm going with the Rams, man. The Rams, there's a lot to like there. I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers keep it closer than the 7-point spread. A touchdown is a whole lot of respect toward the LA Rams. With this particular matchup, the desperation that's on the Bucks because of what's happening to them in their division, being tied in the win column with the Carolina Panthers, I think you see the Tampa Bay Bucks play with a sense of urgency. But that said, I still like the Rams out in SoFi on that turf. Matt Stafford is having an MVP level season. The Rams are the odds on favorite to win the Super Bowl for a reason. They're a good team. That said, the one concern I do have about the LA Rams is that this team can't run the football when they need to run the football. They can't. They spend the most time leading in NFL games of any team this season. Yet when it comes to fourth quarter rushing, they're 20th. That's a problem. They have the ability to throw to score. They don't have the ability to run to win. And that's what bothers me a little bit. Being able to close out games, being able to go into your 4-minute offense and play keep away from the other team's offense. That's something that you're going to have to do if you want to contend at a championship level. That's something you're going to have to do if you want to consistently beat playoff caliber teams. And so that's the one thing that I'm watching, their ability to be able to run the ball against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front seven. That's going to be key to being able to put away this Bucks team in week 12.
Now, I think this is a BTA game, 100% a BTA game. 49ers versus, oh, I don't know, 49ers versus the Panthers. The Panthers have been surprising some teams that should have killed them, but they've been able to survive. I think they're from Wakanda down there in North Carolina. But what do you think about those Panthers versus the 49ers?
Man, I can't get a read on who the hell the Carolina Panthers are. I
Mm,
can't, man. One week they'll look like world beaters. Bryce Young is breaking the franchise passing yards record that's set by Cam Newton. Rico Dowdle is running all over people. And then another week they'll get shut out or they'll
mhm.
get embarrassed. I don't know what to make of the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is a team that has a chance to win the NFC West. This is a team that has a chance to have the number one seed when the playoffs kick off in the NFC. If you look at their remaining schedule, I mean, there aren't a whole lot of world beaters on it, right? I mean, you look at teams like the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, the Chicago Bears. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with Indianapolis and Cleveland, but there seem to be a lot of opportunities for them to start to stack wins and build some momentum going into the second season. So I really like what they've been able to do this year. Shout out to Rob Saleh, former Jets head coach, now defensive coordinator of the 49ers. He's found a way to be able to get that unit to play really, really good football despite missing a lot of key pieces. Remember, Nick Bosa dealing with injuries, Fred Warner dealing with injuries. They've been decimated by injuries, but yet they found a way to play competitive football. So shout out to Rob Saleh for being able to get that defense to play above the X's and O's consistently. But I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to be a team that has something to say about how the NFC playoffs go.
100%. And I love Robert Sala being able to come back. They're 4 points negative of what they allowed last year. So they went from averaging 20 points a game to 16 points a game. It's a Sala effect. You know, they were able to go to Super Bowl with him. And the Jets was sad to see you go, but we know it wasn't your fault, brother. It wasn't your fault. Uh, while I let my guy Canty catch his breath real quick, I think we're going to go straight into the anchor segment, which is the disrespect. The disrespect. Now we've seen people swing at the games during games. We're seeing people spit during games. We're seeing so much disrespect between players versus players. Canty, are we seeing the line of emotion and disrespect kind of be crossed on the field nowadays versus maybe back when you played?
No, I think there was as much disrespect back when I played as there is now in the game. The only difference is the high res cameras and the overall interest in the entertainment product. But
Mhm.
disrespect has always been there in professional sports. It's a highly competitive industry. and there are guys that have huge egos that are a part of it. And here's the thing: I don't want to say that as a bad thing. It's hard to be really good at something without having an ego, but I think that sometimes that gets the best of players you know in the heat of competition, and that's what we've seen from time to time, and it's going to come off as disrespectful. And I think the one thing that we have to recognize is that even though these guys are competing against one another, they're also colleagues. They're also
Hmm.
working together to make a living for their families because they play a kid's game for a king's ransom, and there's a ton of interest in sports in general, but in the NFL in particular. So, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a fine line situation in terms of being able to strike the right balance between competitiveness, but also respectfulness.
Now, what's cold? Now, again, I've seen the scene from Friday Night Lights. The quarterback's on the field laying down. He gets the helmet kicked in his face when they played against Carter. I've just watched Any Given Sunday. That's where I get my name, QE Beam, that I got that from Any Given Sunday. And we seen that first game with Willie Beeman. He just got laid out beyond after the whistle. They just wanted to send a point.
Yeah,
What's I know spitting is beyond crossing the line,
yeah.
but what's the worst thing that you've been on the field to see that you like, if we was in the streets, I would have whooped that ass?
Oh
Not to
man,
you, but to anybody.
probably the worst thing that I remember seeing is one of my teammates, Pro Bowl center Andre Garrard, getting stomped on by Albert Haynesworth. I remember Haynesworth was a defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. We were playing down in Nashville, and Garrard was known for all of the tricks of the trade. Like he was that crafty veteran. He had all of the tools in his bag that could frustrate a defensive lineman. He used to practice them on us in practice, and we got annoyed by it. But he was doing some of that stuff to Albert Haynesworth, and on one play, Garrod's helmet came off, and he ends up on the ground. And Albert Haynesworth gets up and stomps on his face with cleats on, and that was one of those moments where you got up in outrage because this guy had attacked one of your teammates like that. Now I didn't see it in real time. I'm a defensive player. I'm on the sidelines on the bench, sucking water and looking at the plays or the sheets of the last defensive series that we had. But post game, you get asked about it by the reporters. You see video of it after the fact, and you become outraged. And if you put yourself in that situation, you just realize that you know that's one of those moments where that person got to see me, not just on the football field, but off the football field. Now, I think they were able to come to some kind of settlement. Obviously, that level of assault opens yourself up to a different degree of liability if you're Albert Haynesworth. But that was just a wild thing to see. I had never seen disrespect toward a player in that manner. To stomp on somebody's face with cleats,
Hmm.
you are all the way off, dog. You don't even see that person as human to do something like that. So that's probably the craziest thing I've seen on the field, player to player.
Now, I want to make it personal because you played in the trenches.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to know none of the tricks. Maybe you could teach that to a young D lineman, but there's never been a moment where you was like, yo, I'm about to really violate. You never had one of those?
Nah, man, I never really felt like I needed to. About the worst that I was going to do is dump a motherfucker over the pile. Right? I got him locked out, and I see the pile coming toward him. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna dump him on the pile. Like that's about as bad as it was gonna get for me. Or maybe like you catch an offensive lineman slipping and you sneak him, and you knock him off his feet. Like I would do stuff like that, but I wasn't one of the guys that was going cross lines like that. Like you had some players out there on the bottom
Mhm.
of the pile, scrambling for a fumble, that'll grab your nuts and try to twist them. You got guys trying to gouge your eyes out. You got guys doing some crazy things out there on the football field. I never wanted to be the one to violate in that way because I've always felt like if you're out there on a football field, any motherfucker can get got. Anybody can
Mhm.
get got. In the way that we do this, anybody can get red dotted. And that means that people on a team make it a point to go after one individual. So that could happen to anybody. And I never wanted to be that one somebody that all 11 guys on the other team wanted to go after. So I tried to conduct myself with a level of professionalism, a level of decorum, a level of respect for the brotherhood. So I I had some guys come at me, but I never really went at players like that.
Now, Canty, I know you. Some of these listeners, they know of you, but I know you. You just ain't want to pay them fines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You-
I'm a cheap bastard.
nah, you want to keep your money. Well, I'm
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
give my money.
Hey,
What
listen,
happens to that money
my
though?
daddy always taught me is not what you make, is what you keep. What happens is the NFL puts it into a pot, and at the end of the season, they donate it to their charitable partners. So they donate it to the United Way, or they donate it to Salute to Service. They don't donate it to all of the other causes that the NFL is involved in. So it goes towards something good.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, we always talk about the field in the boardroom. I've never personally in my life suffered from what I would consider real deep disrespect at work. It's work. It is what it is. But at the same time, there's something called HR. So anytime you feel disrespected at work, you could just contact HR. You guys on the field, y'all don't have an HR rep y'all could
Nah,
just run into. You
nah.
don't have you have these hands. You have these hands. And like I said earlier, it's them F's.
Yeah.
Once you violated that, like seriously, listen, I try to make myself real tall on screen, that I'm 6'5". I'm probably the other way around in real life on a UG day. On a UG day. But at the same time, it's like as long as you don't cross that line, I'm good. You can bother me any other way. I'm good. Just don't play with my family or my finances, because you affect my finances, it affects my family.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
affect my family, now I'm going to work and I'm messing with my finances. I
Okay.
can't I
Alright,
can't do that, brother. I
alright.
can't do that. But wins and losses for the week. Canty, what's your win for the week?
Ooh, my win for the week. I gotta go with Bryce Young, man, from the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young had a hell of a day. Over 440 yards passing, set a Carolina Panthers franchise record. What he was able to do, being able to lead that team, being able to find a way to best the Atlanta Falcons, whose season was on life support. I thought that was huge for them, being able to find a way to get it done in overtime. Bryce Young, man, that guy's career arc has been crazy. He was the starting quarterback. He was the number one pick. Panthers moved up to get him. They passed on uh, the opportunity, which would have led them to Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or Drake May in the next draft. They went with Bryce Young. They had conviction about this young man. And in Bryce Young's second year, he found himself benched earlier in the season, was able to come back, play well in the second half of 2024. And now we're seeing him pick up where he left off in 2025. I'm wildly impressed by the mental toughness of Bryce Young. So to me, that's a huge, huge win for him. It was important for him to have a big year in his third season with the Carolina Panthers, and he's putting together a really solid campaign.
Listen, he's proven himself to be worth the pick. For me, my win of the weekend, I'm not going to say no names because I feel like my guy George Pickens had himself an Uncle Mel Mel game. Now, if Uncle
Uh-oh.
Mel Mel is listening, you know what this is. Uncle Mel Mel, I've never seen somebody become an All American and qualify for the Olympics off that Hennessy. Well, excuse me, Ciroc boys at that time. But my guy George Pickens, he had a hell of a game Monday. Well, excuse me, he had a hell of a game Monday, and he finished the game with the career high 9 receptions, 144 yards, and 1 touchdown after a night where they were benched the first series because they said they missed curfew. Why would you be in Vegas and miss curfew? So you're getting the win of the week just because you balled out like my Uncle Mel Mel. It doesn't stop. The Ciroc doesn't stop the greatness. And I appreciate you, brother, for hitting on that ticket. Listen, y'all, I got some unbelievable parlays. Canty laughs at me all the time.
Uh-oh.
But you got me a good $240 off of $5. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
There it is. There it is. Here's the thing. I'll say this. I don't love the fact that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens missed curfew, but at least the motherfuckers was together. Teamwork.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Teamwork make the dream
Teamwork.
work, and they balled out. And they balled out.
Am
Now,
I
if they
my
didn't
brother's
both ball
keeper?
out,
Yes,
yes, I
I
am. Yo, any losses for the week this week, Auntie?
Yeah, you know what? And I got to repeat offender, Justin Fields, man. It's a loss,
Mm.
bro. Justin Fields gets benched yet again for Tyrod Taylor, and I feel like this time it's for good. And we keep waiting for Justin Fields to be able to put all of that talent together. and turn into a legitimate starting NFL quarterback. And I just don't think it's going to happen. We've seen it across 3 stops now with the Chicago Bears, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now the New York Jets. This felt like, in a lot of ways, the last gasp. I'm not going to say that Justin Fields is going to be out of the league because I think he'll be around for a really long time. But I just don't think that somebody is going to look at Justin Fields as the answer to their question around starting quarterback anymore. Justin Fields is your guy for right now, but he's not Mr. Right. And so I think that we've seen the last of Justin Fields being a full-time starter in the NFL.
Listen, my loss for the week is great because we're recording on a Friday because this dude really pissed me off last night. Josh Allen, you got to pick who you are, man. I said this earlier. Is that your king? He is not my – Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen.
Oh, wow.
Canty, we could swing, call it a hot take. I don't care what you say. Lamar Jackson would have found the way to win a game and win the games he's supposed to win, not lose the games he's not. Now, I know that Mahomes is his kryptonite, but it seems like Josh Allen's kryptonite is prime time and being pressured because those picks, like the end of the game last night, 100% a pick. He tried to say, oh, wide receiver was touched. No, that was a pick. Brother, why are you running around into the defensive lineman? You're running around into the sack. Brother, 1 week you give me 60 points in fantasy. The next week you give me 11. We need to talk. We need to talk. The up and downs, I can't do that. This ain't no pause on that too. But this ain't no seesaw, brother. This ain't no seesaw. But you're my loss for the week, Josh Allen. You need to come back and do some great things next week. And after that, you won't be the king because Lamar is still the king, but you'll be the prince. You'll be somewhere in the atmosphere. You'll be somewhere in there.
It is.
Now, Canty, let them know where they can find you at.
Oh, man, you can find me on social media platforms at Chris Canty 99. You can also find me at unsportslike or unsports ESPN social media channels. Also, unsportsmanlike, my show on ESPN Radio from 6A to 10A, Monday through Friday. Also on ESPN2, ESPNU. And then, of course, you can find me right here at the In My Defense podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And listen, it's never nothing personal, but in his defense. But this week's episode, it was very special because Canty allowed me to go away for vacation and come back with a splash. So we appreciate you guys holding tight for a Saturday show. And as always, you could find me at QE_Beeman1 on all social media platforms. You can find us at In My Defense Pod. It is once again In My Defense Pod. Hit that like, subscribe, press the ding. Every time we release an episode of content, you will hear it ring. And listen, catch us on all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. We appreciate you guys for listening. I will never spit on you, but I will fight you because it's never nothing personal. But in my defense,